Judge Andrew Napolitano here as well. You know, the more you look into Huawei, this company and its history and its track record with so many countries, and then you look at all the countries that have serious concerns about the same thing we do, you got to wonder where there's smoke, is there going to be a lot of fires? What?
Well, this is, as we all know, the largest telecommunications manufacturer on the planet. Right. But the case about which our colleague Edward Lawrence just spoke is a very interesting one. It's a civil suit in federal court in Seattle. T-Mobile says you stole some of our trade secrets, and the jury says, yes, they did, and it's worth $4.5 million. A relatively small amount of dollars for what T-Mobile says was stolen and what the jury agrees was stolen. But the jury also found that the Huawei engineers, in a joint partnership with T-Mobile, snuck into the United States a Chinese intelligence agent who, using his cell phone, took photographs in a T-Mobile laboratory of some of this technical material that T-Mobile had agreed and Huawei had agreed would be kept secret. That person, of course, is back in China with his cell phone. When the
How did he get access, by the way?
We don't know. I'm sure he came in as if he was one of the engineers, and it turns out he also works for the government. No surprise. Yeah. When the federal government, reading in a newspaper that this is what the jury found, learned that, they decided, wait a minute, this is more than civil liability. This is industrial espionage. It may even be national security if this character who actually took the picture really was a Chinese government intelligence agent. So that's what started this criminal investigation. The criminal investigation has resulted in 2 arrests, as Edward reported, one very famously in Canada, one in Poland. But prosecuting a corporation in the United States of America is ultimately fruitless unless you have a human being to be indicted. How can you indict a corporation? You can. The maximum fine is $500,000. You indict a human being as to whom you can actually prove these events, orchestrated or participated in the theft. Well, then you have somebody here who's either a bargaining chip with the Chinese or somebody you can prosecute.
But you also have to prove damages, right? If you're
government does not have to prove damages in the criminal case. They only have to prove espionage.
What if you're T-Mobile and you want to take this to the next level?
They proved damages to a jury.
But beyond this, to say, no, this was into the billions for longer term.
T-Mobile would have to appeal to the president's favorite Circuit Court of Appeals, the Ninth Circuit, which actually has been very liberal to plaintiffs in these cases.
Wow. Could I switch gears if you'll indulge me? Because I knew you were coming on. I said, I have to ask him about Rudy Giuliani's comments. Yeah, there was collusion. It didn't involve the president. I think I had the gist of that right. He's been trying to dial it back in appearances in the media today. What do you make of all this?
I have known Rudy for 20 years. He is a very fine lawyer. He was a very aggressive prosecutor. He was the finest mayor in the modern era. The city was ungovernable the time he became mayor, and it was livable when he left. But he has become a rude, crude caricature of himself in the wild and almost maniacal ways that he has attempted to represent the president. I am convinced that he is just acting as a PR agent. He is trying to establish a baseline that if Mueller or a grand jury or the House of Representatives accuses the president of any crime or impeachable offense, it will not be well received by the public. Because the statements he made to Chris Cuomo last night, if you watch that interview,
surreal.
I realize that Chris works for a competitor of ours.
But it was a great interview.
He was so patient. He was so on the mark.
He was very focused. I thought he did a great job.
Rudy was just not believable.
Yeah, it was. But here's what I want to know. You know, we were told in the beginning, never wrote checks to women, did write checks to these women, told that there were no conversations going on with Russian operatives.
There were 87.
So now he seems to parse this a little bit more. Sure, there might have been some colluding going on. I'm interpreting this within the lower levels of the campaign, but not at the level of the candidate, now President Donald Trump. It seems like they're getting a more limited focus here.
Let me tell you how I look at it, and it's very similar to the way you do. For Rudy to have said last night, I only denied that there was collusion, and by collusion he means conspiracy, because collusion is not a legal term. It's a Giuliani term, and the media picked up on it. For him to have said to Chris Cuomo last night, I never said there was no collusion, I just said the president didn't collude, tells me that Rudy knows that Bob Mueller and company
is going to look at that.
They have substantial, credible evidence from which they can show a conspiracy between Russian nationals and the Trump campaign. The question is, did Donald Trump, the human being, the presidential candidate, know about it? That's where I believe they're going.
All right, but that there were talks, and if collusion is something that's just an invented term and all, what do you have to prove with these talks?
You have to prove an agreement. The crime is conspiracy. A conspiracy is an agreement to commit another crime. So in this case, it would be an agreement to receive something of value from the Russians, whether or not it was received. The crime is the agreement. And if a half dozen people all agreed, even if the first of those 6 didn't know the last, they are all liable for the criminal acts of any of them. So,
all right, but if I'm getting this information, let's say from a Russian entity, is that itself a big no-no?
Yes.
Even when it's occurring during a campaign?
Yes,
and
it
even
is.
though it won't be deemed to affect final voting?
The outcome of the campaign. The receipt of something of value from a foreign national entity or government is a criminal act when you're engaged in a federal campaign.
All right, so what if we give to that entity from this foreign government that is just internal polling numbers or something like that? Is that something of value? I mean, are we quibbling over that kind of stuff?
We might be. Remember, we're talking about an agreement, and people, when they agree to commit a crime, they don't usually write it down, so there's going to be a little bit of fuzziness at the edges of exactly what was agreed to. The question is, did Donald Trump himself participate in or know about any of these agreements?
Yeah. All right. Learned so much, Judge. Scary stuff.
It is scary.
Because it's just circling wagons.
I've said this before. This does not look good for the president. And I'm going to guess that Rudy has told him that. I hope so.
Wow.